Welcome to Spiritual Connections LLC. I'm Angelina, your spiritual alignment coach, and today I want to talk to you all about vulnerability and essentially give you all a chance to get to know me a little bit better and maybe have a chance to get to know myself a little bit better too. So before I jump into this, please make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that little bell so that you get notified anytime I go live or post a new video. I'm kind of motivated to talk about this today because I talk to so many people about being their best self, and people are going to understand and respect you for who you are, or they're just going to naturally fall away. And kind of this idea of the soul tribe and soulmates and community, etc., etc. So today I had this moment where I shared something on social media about myself, not even really about myself, more about my interests. And within 1 minute, like literally maybe even 30 seconds, I had people jumping down my throat telling me that I was doing something wrong. So I want to talk a little bit about who I am and my past, and maybe give you guys a little bit of an insight into who is this Angelina person who comes on here and tells you her thoughts. So when I was about 5 years old, my parents got divorced, and I'm sure this is like really no surprise, right? Because we live in a day and age where divorce is pretty commonplace. However, 25 years ago, this was still not as acceptable as it is now. In addition to that, I went to Baptist school, and at 5 years old, I learned what it was to basically mortally sin, right? To commit an unforgivable sin. And I learned at a young age that I was going to hell. So I learned this. This doesn't mean this is true. It just means that this was heavily implanted into my subconscious mind by the people that I went to school with, my teachers, my extended family, and so on and so forth. So there was implanted in my mind this idea that I was going to go to hell. And it didn't really matter what I did, that was my fate. And so, as I'm sure you can, I'm sure you can understand at a very young age, this is like incredibly traumatizing, right? Because you're gonna burn in hell, right? So anyway, I used to have these like really horrible nightmares about these like demons coming and like fighting over my soul and stealing my soul and taking me down to hell and all these horrible things. I had one friend, maybe two. I remember having another friend at one point, but for the most part, the kids I went to school with didn't have anything nice to say to me. If they had anything nice to say to me at all, it was to make fun of me or make me feel bad or kind of ostracize me, whatever. And essentially, I spent the majority of my youth as kind of an ostracized child, right? An unwanted burden. So I'm going to try and get through this whole thing in one shooting without having to stop and be emotional. So we're going to do this, which I'm sure for you guys is like, yeah, it's just kind of my own preference, but okay. So a lot of time just kind of on my own, trying to learn who I am, learn what learn to be accepted, right? Learn to be loved and accepted for who you are as an individual. And also feeling like, first of all, there's nothing that I could ever do to really be accepted. And second of all, the things that I were doing that were according to like the rules and regulations to be accepted weren't working. So it was kind of like this idea that like I was not worth it, or really there's no point in trying because I'm going to be going to hell anyway, right? So that's been reinforced in my subconscious. So anyway, so as I went throughout kind of my existence, I decided that I'm gonna just do it all on my own, right? I don't need friends. I don't want friends. I'm good to be on my own. You either like me or you don't like me, whatever. Now, at some point, this shifted, right? This idea that I would just do it on my own and it didn't really matter, it changed. And I don't know exactly at what point it changed, whether it was my time in the military or not, but at some point I very much wanted the love of other people, right? I wanted a community. I was kind of tired of being on my own, tired of struggling, tired of, doing all the things you're supposed to do and struggling. So, we kind of fast forward into like lots of really abusive relationships, abusive friendships, just basically never feeling comfortable to speak my mind or speak my truth or tell people how I feel or stand up for myself. And if I did stand up for myself, it was like the volcano effect, right? Where it was like this huge explosion because I hadn't stood up for myself until such a point in the relationship, whatever that was, that I was so angry that I had no choice but to explode, right? And I continued that very far into my adult life. Like literally when I started my spiritual journey is when I started realizing that I was doing all these things. And it wasn't until I started hypnosis that I really moved away from that way of being. Not that it's perfect, but I definitely moved away from that. So I have struggled the past couple of years, well, my whole life, but really the last couple of years, and really feeling unaccepted or unwanted by my family, right? By like my actual like DNA, we are related people. And, really feeling hurt because, people call me for advice. And of course I give them advice, but then I don't really have anybody in that sphere who will talk to me and listen to me and actually care about what I'm saying. And in fact, when people do like ask me and my family, how are you doing? And I tell them, they immediately kind of tune out. And that's been really hard for me to like call people that I love and have them basically turn off. And then today when I accidentally, I shared something on Instagram. It was basically like a card of the day, and it went to my personal Facebook, and of course all of my family who's religious kind of jumped on me. And my immediate reaction was like, first of all, wow, you guys really just don't get me at all. And that was a horrible feeling. And then the second feeling was like, okay, I'm just going to delete this because I just don't have the time or energy to explain this to you guys. And I know that even if I try, you're not going to get it. So I'm just going to delete it. And this was really hard for me because I don't want to dim myself anymore. I don't want to hide in the shadows anymore. I honestly think it's absolutely ridiculous that anyone should hide in the shadows because we're all unique, right? One thing that my mother always told me is there's only one Angelina in the entire world, in the entire universe, and that's you. And so why have I accepted this idea that I have to be something else? Okay. So essentially fast forward to this week. So this week we've talked a lot about energy hoarding, holding on to things and not letting them go. I am absolutely no exception to energy hoarding. So what happened is that some family members came into town and didn't reach out to me or tell me they were coming or kind of give me a chance to even see them. And immediately I went back into my own trauma of like, nobody loves me, nobody wants me, stupid, not stupid, but, the old ways of thinking, the old patterns of being that no longer resonate with my path as I move forward. And so I essentially decided, you know what, this is a good lesson. Like, this is a good way for me to be vulnerable and to really set an expectation. So the vulnerability side is I am a human being and I have feelings and thoughts, and we all are striving to be accepted and cared for who we are, like who we uniquely are, right? Because there's only one of us in the entire world. And when we have people in our lives, no matter how they're connected to us, but when we have people in our lives that don't get that, don't respect that, or don't want that, that's not on me. It's on them, Okay, so if there's somebody who doesn't like me or resonate with me or get me, no matter who they are, that's not my fault or my problem. I am being myself, and myself is awesome. And I have struggled with loving myself for such a long time that the idea that I had today that somehow I'm unlovable in that moment was like, what the heck, Angelina? We're not thinking that way anymore. You haven't thought this way in years. Why are you back to this? And for me, that was a really eye-opening moment, right? So my meditation this morning was all about the energy of the sun and activating your confidence and allowing your true self to shine and so on and so forth. And so I had this moment of, I just dimmed myself. I dimmed myself to fit in. Why would I allow that to happen again, right? So I just wanted to come on here and be vulnerable with you guys, talk to you guys a little bit about this, show you that even the smartest person in the room, the bravest person in the room, the person that you think has all the confidence, right? And maybe I'm describing myself, maybe I'm describing somebody else in your life, but whoever that person is, they are a human being. They have thoughts, they have feelings, they have wants and needs, right? And so when we find ourselves judging or pushing people away or just generally being unkind, it has an effect on them, right? Just like my family's behavior today had an effect on me, and their behavior over the week has had an effect on me, and I can choose to allow it to break me down and put me back in the box, or I can let it go. So it might not seem easy, but it is, right? It is, because I know who I am and I allow myself to be. So I hope this isn't too soapbox for you guys, but I'm also working on things. And so this is a chance for you guys to see that it's possible. It's possible to move forward. It's possible to let it go. I mean, even so, right? Like, you can be upset. Like, I'm upset right now. Even right now, I'm upset. But that's not going to break me. It's not going to stop me. It's a moment, right? This is a moment of my day, and I'm choosing to share it with all of you because it's important for you guys to know that I'm a human being. And no matter what it looks like from the YouTube or the Instagram or the Facebook screen, you know, I'm a human being and I've experienced things just like you. And I've moved forward and I've forgiven and I've let a lot of things go. So even in this moment of family members or loved ones judging or pushing me away, sorry, Tic Tac has decided she does not like the camera. So, you know, even though those things happen, I'm still choosing to move forward. I'm still allowing myself to be, and I'm not going to allow myself or anybody else to be pushed down. Okay. I hope that makes sense, because this particular week has got a lot of energy, and I'm willing to work with the energy, transmute it, and move forward. You know, whoever is going to move forward with me, that's awesome. And whoever isn't, that's going to be okay too, because they've got their own journey. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy and space with me. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel if you are interested in learning more about spiritual alignment, spiritual awakening, tarot, oracle. Honestly, if you just like the community feel, because we do lives pretty often, and that's a cool chance to kind of talk to people and get to know them. This is my passion. This is what I love. So I put my best foot forward every day despite all the things that are happening, and I am excited to be here with you all. All right, everyone, I will see you all next time. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a blessed and active, exciting, love-filled day. See you all next time.